Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you're listening. Welcome back to the Kilted Kickoff podcast with myself, Dan, and my lovely co host, Murray. Both of us,
So,
fair to say, probably feeling a wee bit deflated after the Ireland game, but that's why you're here.
but we're here.
Just doing what on with. How are you feeling, Murray?
You have not just asked me that.
Well, I don't
I
feel
I
Murray.
don't feel great. I
Aren't mine.
I am too invested in rugby. So I genuinely felt like I was going to cry at Murrayfield last night. I didn't. I'm not. I genuinely just felt like just that little like that sucker punch at like gut feeling at the full time whistle. Me and you barely spoke at the train station, which is not like us at all.
And we actually didn't meet. Usually we travel to the game together and we go
Yeah.
back together. Just for those listening, that Murray and I, we don't live far away from each other. I think we live about 10 minutes down the road. So we travel
Mm.
in and out of games together. And after the game, I just texted and said, mate, I'm just going home myself. And I left straight out. He just so happened
Yeah.
to be at the station. And both of us were just like fuming.
If you seen me on the train going home last night, you'd think I've just been dumped. Yeah, I had my head against the window and I was just kind of sitting, just, oh, what could have been? And then obviously, because we do stuff on social media, you get Muppets online that just love to kick you when you're down.
Oh, tell what was worse than being kicked while you're down. Now, this was the first time I've ever bought a ticket off of Viagogo. Usually I get them through official sources. I wouldn't recommend getting them through a third party website, but I'm assuming the section I was in must be where a lot of third party sellers go, because where the little back thing I was up in the nosebleeds,
Mm.
and the ratio between Scots and Irish was probably 60-40, leaning towards the Irish. And from where we were sitting, you could tell sort of like the upper bit right at the top were mainly Irish, and the bottom
Mhm.
tier was mainly Scottish.
Mhm.
And I had these couple of drunken Irish fans behind me, just, all the way through the match, screaming, easy, easy. And then,
Oh,
get back in your backs, Scotland, get back in your backs. And it was just thinking, fucking hell, if I haven't had my teeth kicked in enough after having to watch that,
yeah.
I get to hear that getting chanted at me while I, have to go back on, do my match report to have 200 messages calling me arrogant. it's,
Oh, yeah, I got, oh, this age well, how are you feeling now? And then I got people texting me the score. I'm like, I was at the game. I do not need a reminder of what the score was. I
yeah.
am fully aware that we got our pants pulled down. I do not need a reminder. And I even said it in my video. I was like, go on, win the Six Nations again. Because right now, I couldn't care less right now.
Yeah, it's a wee bit frustrating to see, isn't it? It's just I feel like look at our squad since we last beat Ireland in 2017, right? Take our squad versus Wales's squad since 2017. I'd say for most of that time, or for a lot of that time, we've had a stronger squad than Wales. That should be like one for one comparison. But
Yeah.
Wales come out of that period with a handful of titles. It's now been 25 years. And this was probably, and look, technically we are still in the running. We've only lost one game, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's been 25 years since we've done anything like when is this? When is it going to be Scotland's chance to do it again?
I don't know. I had Irish people. Not all of them are Muppets. I will say that. I did have some lovely comments, and
Mm,
some of them were like, some of them actually referred to like when Ireland were rubbish in the 80s and 90s, and like, look, we couldn't get a win over you boys back then. Yes, we're enjoying it now, but your time will come. And I'm like, well, that's nice. I
mhm.
don't know if you mean it. And then there was other ones like, you have had a really horrible hand. You lost your captain before the campaign. You lost your best second row. You lost two of your best players in the same game. We'll talk about it in a bit more depth. But yeah, I was like, I mean, when you put it like that, that is a horrible ordeal.
Yeah, look, I get it. It was one of our one of our most optimistic campaigns going into it. I mean, Sayoni Tuipulotu, who was arguably the second best player, the best player on the British and Irish Isles, probably the second best player in the competition, just behind DuPont, um, goes out before the tournament. The only other position that we are low in because we already had injuries was lock. Like we already had people like Max Williamson, and that was already out. So to lose Cummings was a big one. And then 10 minutes into our must-win game, Finn Russell and Darcy Graham both go down in the same incident, and they're both off.
You know what? I actually want to talk about this, right? Because so Darcy's been out of hospital. That's fantastic news.
Yeah,
The Finn Russell incident. I honestly cannot praise Scottish rugby high enough for how they dealt with that. So if you don't know, if those listening don't know, Finn Russell and Darcy Graham somehow clashed heads against each other and completely took each other out of the game. Darcy's looked horrible. Darcy actually got stretchered off. The game was stopped. Blah blah blah. Finn went off for HIA protocol, as the law standard states, and he passed his HIA. He was getting ready to come back on because you seen him at the side. He had his jacket and all that off. He was ready to go, come back on, and they changed their mind. It's like they just changed their mind. That's what it looked like. But it has been since revealed, Finn couldn't remember half the plays.
yeah,
So Pete Horn and some of the other coaches that are down on the touchline, obviously, Gregor Townsend's up in the box. Pete Horn and a couple of the other assistants that are down at the pitch was like, Gregor, Finn's not right. We'll have to keep him off. Okay. We'll just keep staff there. Tom's at 10. And this now begs the question of, is the HIA protocols actually strict enough? Because that was only in a matter of minutes from passing it to, I can't remember the plays.
yeah. I remember the boy in the stadium that I was telling you about with the earpiece in
Mm,
was in front of us, and he turned around and said Finn Russell was coming back on. And then about 2.5 minutes later, he turned around to actually, no, they're going to keep him off now.
mm,
Yeah, so you're right. So obviously he went off his HIA, he passed his HIA,
mm,
and then when Pete Horn is saying, "Look, when you go back on, we want to do this, this, and this," Russell couldn't remember what the plays were, so they're like, "Okay, you're clearly showing signs of concussion here, mate. Um, we're not going to put you back on."
mm.
Uh, yeah,
The right thing to do. I mean, it says it all over our training gear. If in doubt, set them out.
yeah,
Absolutely, 100%. Player safety is the main thing. But he passed the. That's the bit that's alarming to me. I'm like, he passed that. Like,
hmm.
do we need to be more strict on the on HIA protocols?
I don't know what counts as what the test is nowadays. If someone knows, I'd love
Oh
to.
yeah, feel free, please let us know. Yeah, that'd be great.
Now,
But
I played rugby. There wasn't well, I played rugby in Ireland,
mm,
and when we played, there wasn't any HIA protocols. But again, that was the early 2000s. Like,
yeah, even the mid 2000s, I don't remember. I had a few concussions, and I don't remember doing. I think they do like how many fingers and what's your name, where are you, like simple general questions. Stand
mm,
up, walk this far, X amount, and evidently I failed them when I had concussion. But I don't remember like ever coming away and doing like a proper test.
yeah,
But who knows? If anyone does know the actual ins and outs, please let us know. But yeah, the actual game itself, I mean, there was moments. I've been silly and went back to look at it.
oh, I've not had the heart to do that yet.
You could blame my oldest for that. He was dying to see the game, but he actually fell asleep yesterday. And he's like, "Dad, can we please watch the game?" And I was like, "No."
Oh,
And he just wants to know. He's only 4, so he doesn't know the ins and outs. He
yeah.
watched it, and I'm sitting watching it with him. And there was bits, and I'm like, "Okay, okay."
Uh, you
Some
do
of and I don't like to blame the referee. I'm not blaming the referee. There was some questionable calls. Do I agree with them? No. Does that affect the game? Probably not. In hindsight, probably not. I don't. Maybe the Robbie Henshaw thing. Fine. That right. Okay. We were pretty close.
Hmm.
But apart from that, I mean, I thought Hugo Keenan's foot was on the floor when Burr got given a high charge for a high tackle, but there must have been like millimeters in it.
It's just, yeah.
It's the luck of the draw. Duhan's yellow. I don't even know what he was thinking. I generally
Yeah,
don't.
it was silly. Like when I saw it live, straight away I was like, "That's just a stupid move."
There's
I
even.
honestly thought that was going to be a penalty try as well at the time. I was like,
mm,
"That's a yellow card, a penalty try." But
I mean, I had to. The Muppet that sits across down for me. The one I'm like, go over to and watch football because you're just annoying me now.
mm.
That's guy that sits there the last 6 7 years. I want to know where he gets his glasses because he could see everything on the pitch. Apparently, it's great. It's one of them. And now the new rule where the referee's big decisions gets put over the tannoy speaker so everyone could hear it. I love that. I think that's a great thing. I've loved that. He was like, I'm not awarding a penalty try. This guy wasn't listening and heard penalty try. I was like, oh, what the hell, ref? I was like, mate, it's not a penalty try. Try listening to him. And
Uh,
oh yeah, he was just an absolute clown. But right, we were fortunate it wasn't a penalty try. Duhan shouldn't have done it. But then Duhan did score a worldie.
yeah, I was going to say Duhan's try of his own. That was fantastic. Prendergast made a great tackle on him, but for Duhan, for a man of his size,
He
to
loved
maneuver his
it.
body out that way, and it's not the first time he's done it. It's shown the one he did against Italy was no fluke.
And it was the same corner. He loves that corner.
Yeah,
Honestly,
great
that
corner.
either that corner or the opposite, like diagonally opposite, going down towards the south stand. He loves that because he always does his big run-ins that way. It's great. He loves for it. He loves for a corner finish. But Tom Jordan, I thought, did quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Considering he was never meant to be the 10. I think we've all established that he's like, great, it's my first start. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Bang, bang, bang. And then they went, very early on, I went, Tom, you're 10. He's probably went, shit, hold on a minute. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure because I think at professional sport that would have always been the contingency that would have been built in that if Finn Russell ever goes down, he moves to 10.
Probably, but then you've got the actual, like, it's all good training for it. And be like, yeah, but like, how's this ever going to happen?
Yeah.
And then like the adrenaline and there and then to be like it might have been talked about on like the Tuesday in
Mm.
camp. Like if Ben goes down, Tom, you'd be at 10. Okay, we'll do a few drills, and then just never got mentioned again. I don't know. I'm not in camp, but
I mean, I thought he
yeah,
did very well. I thought Tom Jordan, like he was out of what the few Scottish players I'd give pass marks to on that game. Tom Jordan was.
there's okay. So that's interesting. There's four, 3.5. I'd give pass marks to.
Okay, let's go quickly through the squad, right? And we'll try to do player ratings from what we remembered. Again, I've only went and watched this live. I've not seen it on the TV yet. Okay, so Rory
Hmm.
Sutherland, um, I had
Fair.
about a five, meaning when I say five, I'm not saying terrible. I'm doing this out of 10. Five is
Yeah,
I don't think he was great. I don't think he was rubbish either. He was proper.
four.
I think he was four.
I didn't really see him. Even at scrum times, we kind like
Who dominated Scrum?
Andrew Porter is not like the best scrummager. He is a fantastic prop before people come at me for that. He is a
Mm.
great prop. He is very great around the pitch. But I've seen him get like people have held his elbow up in scrums.
Who Porter?
Porter, yeah. So that's why I was like, right, Sutherland's great at scrummaging. Go for it. And we got absolutely battered in the scrum. And I'd never seen him at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4.
Right, 4 5. Dave Cherry.
7. Dave put in a hell of a shift. I thought I was actually really impressed with Dave.
Where are you?
Yeah, just for I know some lineouts went a bit iffy, but
I think we had 100% lineouts. we had, and this is one thing that annoyed me, right? About, and I think this is mentality. I'm going to give him a 6, by the way.
Okay.
Mentality wise, I thought we were gone before we even came out because I think tactic wise might have not been too far. Traditionally, Ireland always bullied us at lineouts. But I feel like that was the one game we had lineup dominance. That was the only thing we seemed to have dominance at them was over lineouts. And we disrupted 3 or 4 of their lineouts. We pinched a
Oh,
couple.
sorry. No, right. Yeah, yeah. I'm confused. I just seen the hands go up, and sorry, that's on me. It was a
Yeah,
long day.
it's yeah, and I thought that might have given us platform. Remember, before we went too far behind, I was saying to Jennifer that like we've got them here. This is one thing that we've got in Ireland. If they don't have a functioning line out, that's what we get them on. That's how we win. And it's just
Yeah.
utterly collapsed. Anyway, Xander Fagerson.
7.5. Massive shift.
I
Massive.
I give him an 8.
That's fine.
I,
I'm good with that.
Johnny Gray, I'm going to give a 3. I don't remember seeing him at all.
I'll give him a 4. Just the same rule as Sutherland. I didn't.
Um,
He did hold up one try that Ireland went for. He did hold that up quite well. But
did he?
after that, I didn't see. Actually, I'll give him a 5 just for the hold up.
Okay, a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Gilco, I've given a 6.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
I'll go 6 as well.
oh, again, I've not watched my TV. The back row, Matt Fagerson.
See, Matt was hard done by a lot. Matt was really into the game.
Hmm.
And then we got given a penalty. They got given a penalty because Matt apparently tackled like away from the ball. I'm like, where?
Yeah, after the restart after their first try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Money was nowhere near it. Dropped it clear as day. Dave Cherry dives on it. We're all shouting like, yes,
yeah.
straight back at them, boys. And the ref went penalty, tackled him in the air. I'm like, how? He wasn't even near them. I don't know. It was such a weird. See if he picked any other player that was just close to it, I probably would have been like, oh, that's unfortunate. But he gave it to Matt Fagerson. I'm like, he's behind you. He was behind the ref. I don't get it.
There
But
was
anyway,
there was a couple of questionable decisions in that game, to say the least. But look, Ireland and Leinster always get them. And it's, I mean, until another team comes along more dominant, I don't ever think that's going to change. Um, Ireland and Leinster always get decisions like this going their way. But anyway,
yeah.
what you giving them, Fagerson?
6.5. Yeah,
Yeah, Darge. I'm the same, by the way.
probably about the same. Yeah, 6.5.
I have to give Darge and Dempsey both. I can't remember seeing them in the game. Honestly, I'm just trying to think back. I don't remember them being too involved.
I'm giving Dempsey a 5. I don't remember. Don't remember Dempsey being in the mix at all.
Ben White had a fairly decent game, got himself another try,
7.
kicked well, I think.
He was ready to go when Henshaw knocked it on. He wanted that tap and go, and the ref went.
There was a couple that he went. There were 2 times that Ben White got the tap and go, and the ref pulled it back both times.
This annoys me. I've said this to you countless times. World Rugby keeps saying we want to find new, innovative ways to speed up the game. Right. So then when the players decide, let's tap and go it behind the mark, so they're actually going further back.
Yeah,
No, bring it back. Why?
but the annoying thing is, it seems to be done at the referee's discretion. Like he can pull one back for one team, but then allow it for the other. And
Oh yeah.
this is what annoys a lot of rugby fans about referees is there's no consistency here.
No.
Rather, it needs to be a general rule that if you're on your mark or behind, you can tap and
No.
go it. But if you tap and go it from behind where the mark was called, you know,
That's on you.
you
If
lose
you
it.
want to,
That's on
yeah,
you.
yeah.
But
It's the same with like if you kick for touch and don't find touch. It's play on.
the one bit that annoyed me was when Ireland had a penalty, this was early in the first half, and Prendergast kicked it away, and Doohan, he went for a crossfield kick, and
Yes,
Doohan
not
just
yeah, the knock-on advantage. This is so stupid now because that happened. I think it happened when we went to the Edinburgh Beyond game. Remember, there was a clear knock-on and we kicked it,
but
and the
we
ref
kicked
went,
it the other
"Yeah,
hand. But when it happened the other way about, he never called our one.
no,
But when Prendergast went for a crossfield kick, to my understanding, I mean, penalty advantages are slightly different. But for knock-on
yeah,
advantages, if you kick the ball, you've kicked away
that's
your
it."
advantage.
Yeah, I've always been. Well, so we've always done it. You hear it every week.
Yeah, it,
Advantage knock-on, and then bang, right. The minute it leaves their boot, advantage
yeah,
over. Don't get it. Because
yeah,
that, by the way, Doohan was gone there. He would have been gone.
yeah. But um, for the time he was on the pitch, what did you think, Finn Russell?
I don't. I'm not grading Finn. He wasn't on long enough, and we were getting beat, and I couldn't see. I'm not judging it. Actually, I can't judge him because I didn't see anything. I don't know if he would have grown into the game. I don't know
I'll
if he
cross
would.
out Darcy Graham as well then.
Yeah, just cross out Darcy Graham as well. Yeah,
Like Tom Jordan, I think was the best player on the park. I'm going to give him an 8.5. Um,
I'll give him an 8. He's still my highest rated, but I'll give him an 8.
Hugh Jones, 7 for me.
Yeah, yeah, 7's fine. Yeah,
Um, Duan van der Merwe,
7.
yeah.
If he didn't get yellowed, he'd be an 8 because that try is magnifique.
Kinghorn had a really quiet game.
Right, I'm glad you said this.
Oh,
Kinghorn really fucking frustrated me. He's meant to be really good under the high ball. He was mixed. Wasn't great under the high ball. There was
I think
two.
that was more Ireland pulling him out of position though, because anytime the only high balls I saw Kinghorn lose were the ones where Ireland would target a high ball where Kinghorn would struggle to get to. So Kinghorn would have to come way off of his line to
Maybe.
attempt to get this high ball, or we were going to lose it. They're the only ones
Anyway,
in his
there
defence.
was there was two clear chances of us getting a try, and if Blair passed him, we would have scored both, and he didn't. First minute in, we've got the ball. It is a loose kick. Blair gets the ball. Does is like, well, it's not a sprint, like a half sprint, like a jog sort of.
He does
Chips it
he does
over.
a diagonal thing.
No, no, chips it over.
Mm.
Chases it. Catches it. Darcy's right there, and then doesn't pass. Does not pass.
Mm.
Then in the second half, I believe. Yes, it was second half because they were coming toward me in the first half, right? So second half, Tom John looping pass goes to Hugh Jones. Shuggy makes that beautiful break, passes to Kinghorn. Kinghorn draws in three of them. Doohan is barking at him to pass the ball. It is a give me. It is a give me point. The minute that leaves and Doohan catches it, it's a try. And Blair dummies it and tries to cut back in and gets wrapped up. I'm like, come on, man.
There's
To the point,
I
to the
can't
point,
remember.
I actually,
I remember the first one, watching it live, but
the
because of
second one is so
I can't
frustrating.
remember the second one.
To the point, I showed my partner it, and she likes rugby, but she's not in the know and all that. She'll watch it. She'll like some players, some fair, but casual viewing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, right, I'm going to slow it down. I want you to show me where Blair should point when Blair should pass this ball. And she's shouting at the telly like, Blair, pass, Blair, pass the ball now. And he just doesn't. And she's like, what is he doing? I'm like, I rest my case.
Mm, damn. It just, yeah. Once I feel up to it, once I can bring myself to be hurt, I'll watch the game back again.
Oh no, don't do it. I don't recommend it.
Um, it's probably. I'm trying to think of the last time I was that disappointed watching a Scotland game. Like genuinely, I don't want to say 2015 in Australia against Australia because that feels like a bit of a cop out. But I'm thinking from, I mean, just a complete implosion. And I'm not sure if it's because Ireland scored so early on. You know, when Kinghorn at the start did that little chip over, which I thought was brilliant, showed a bit of skill. Do you
Mm.
think if Scotland score first, that the
Oh
whole
yeah,
game changes? Do you think we were in
yeah.
it, or do you think the same thing still happens?
No, I think there was bits that we were in it, and it was just either daft mistakes or selfishness that buggered it. I'm a bit more. I'm still pissed. I hate that. I hate losing. Full stop. I hate it. It ruins my day. I went to my bed at 20 to 10 last night.
Oh man.
When
I
do I? You? How long you know me? When the hell do I go to my bed
know you
that early?
both of us are usually up late. Like you're up till 1 or 2 in the morning. I know you called me, and I was pretty much the same. I saw. I was like, I'm in no mood to speak to anyone right now. Um,
I went up. I came home. I went up. I said. I came and seen the kids and the missus,
mm.
and then she was they're like, "You okay?" I was like, "I'm just going to go upstairs," and I did my video. Again, I tried not to cry. Do not cry. Do not cry on the internet because they will rip you for it. But I let my feelings out. Didn't pause. Did it all in one take. So that's how you know it was genuine.
All in one take.
All in one take. Uploaded it, and then basically just switched my phone off and went to my bed. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to my bed. And did I sleep great? No.
I thought it's just a shit. I think I got home. Jen and I ordered a Chinese when we got in, and we binge watched a little bit of TV of a series we were watching. But like, I was just because of the game, I was miserable the entire evening.
I'm heartbroken. You ordered a Chinese and didn't even invite me. This makes my day worse.
All
Um,
right, okay. So the question I want to ask you, right?
Shoot.
It's a hypothetical. If you could bring back any player, it has to be a Scottish player that's retired. You get to bring them back in their prime to help turn that game around into something different. Who do you bring back?
Does it have to just be one? Or can I bring
You're
a
only
few?
allowed to pick one.
I mean, I've always said, not just for this game, I've always said if you could bring somebody back I'm bringing back Chris Patterson. I
Okay.
would always, because he was my hero. He's the reason I got into rugby. Blah blah blah. So he would always be that answer. For this game though, I don't know because can I cheat and be like, can I get Sione from like 6 months ago? Is that cheating?
No, it has to be retired.
Oh, I retired. I forgot that. For this one game to change the game.
I've only got one. Yeah, you could get bring one player. I think it's someone maybe a forward like Ross Ford, maybe.
Okay, I was thinking a forward. I wasn't thinking Ross Ford though.
I'm
Just
not
because we did
sure, but we
just
add a bit of muscle and
who would bring muscle, ruggedness, toughness, just absolute brute strength and leadership. Jason White.
okay, okay. Oh, Dave Denton.
Dave Denton's a shout.
Uh,
Yeah. I
I,
don't know. Greg Laidlaw. Again, Ben White did well, but Greg Laidlaw
yeah,
would have Greg Laidlaw knew how to beat Ireland. It's
he
iconic.
has to be Ireland.
Hands in the sky and everything. No, I don't know. I've always said I'd bring back Chris Parson because the man
Gregor
could do it all.
Townsend jumps
Gregor
in.
Townsend, Gregor, get in the middle. Show somebody.
Yeah. So look on
Pete
this
Horn. Pete Horn's younger. Go for it.
Lord. Oh, I know we stand on different bits on this, and you don't have to speak if you don't want to. But I'm sure our listeners would be. I'm going to speak my mind on this, but like, feel
Okay.
free if you don't want to. Gregor Townsend. There's been a lot of noise.
Well, so wait a minute.
Townsend for
Before you start throwing the punches, we did kind of speak about this on the phone earlier, and I did give three scenario options that I don't feel it's bad to say
Okay.
if I can remember them.
Well,
No,
I'll
sorry.
go first then, and they might come back to you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I'll let you go first.
So my opinion is, look, pointless replacing him in the middle of a Six Nations, right? Um, I in the past was on tuning out around the end of the 2019 World Cup, um, and then he won me back over. And I've always been sort of, he never really got me properly on side. I was always sat on the fence. You know, if I had to give Gregor Townsend a grade, I would always give him a C or a C plus. Like, you know, we tend to beat most middling teams, but we never seem to have an impact. But
Mm-hmm.
now I'm fully on the tuning out bus. It's like, look, I look at his record. He's had eight Six Nations charge. I've not got them all in front of me, but from memory, I think he's got 1/5, one
Mm-hmm.
third, and the rest are fourth place. Now, if I'm wrong by one or two, on apologies, but that's roughly what it is, right? Um, he has now had 11 attempts to beat Ireland. He has lost all 11. He's never even won one. He's had two World Cups. He's failed to get us out of the group stages.
Mm-hmm.
He's had big, high-profile falling outs with star players. Um, and whether that was there's something going on in the background or he doesn't have the man management skills to manage a team, I don't know. But from where I stand, I think Townsend has, and I don't think he's a bad coach, right? I think Townsend has taken this team as far as he has the ability to do so. And I don't see this any different from Townsend turning around to an international player and say, look, you're not cutting it at this level. And if Townsend wanted to go away and he took the Australia job or something after Joe Schmidt, and he went away for 5, 10 years, I wouldn't even be opposed to him coming back at a later date. But Townsend, in his current iteration right now, has hit a ceiling, and we can give him another 4 years. We're just going to come fourth until Italy get better and eventually overtake us, because the we're not closing the gaps on the teams above us, but the teams behind us are starting to close the gaps. So for me, and the only thing that would change my mind is Townsend would have to go down and win in both London and Paris again, and maybe take us to second. He would have to beat the French in Paris and England down in Twickenham for me to even consider at this point. Even if we finish third in the Six Nations, that was where we were expected to finish before a ball's kicked off. He's not progressing us anywhere. So that's where I stand with him. Yeah, he needs to win the next three. He's gone.
So I get why you're thinking Townsend out. I get why a lot of people are thinking Townsend out. I I don't know. And that's my honest answer. I generally don't know. I kind of don't want to be another coach out. Like if you've watched this series, I don't like Sean Everett. I've made that crystal clear, but I'll still back the team. I don't really want to start doing that for my country as well, because you just become a very fickle. If you're like on both ends of club and country, get out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're in a very toxic place, and it's yeah.
You
So
don't football and have one or two
I'm
bad results. And
yeah.
for people that don't follow me on TikTok, and I put up a video of this before. I'm not saying this off the back of one result. Oh, you lost Ireland, we should get out.
No,
I've been
no,
before and went back. This is an accumulation of results over 8 years. It's not.
that's fine. You've actually got a valid reason. There is Muppets out there that, oh, Townsend shite, get him out. Based on what? On what? Explain your base. If you do it like what Dan's just done, fine. If you just go, well, we got beat by Ireland. Everyone gets beat by Ireland. So what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, you can have one bad game, right? You can have one bad game, that's fine. My problem with Ireland is, and I've got a chip on. Well, I think as Scotland's got a chip on their shoulder when it comes to Ireland. But I don't know any other nation other than Italy have lost to any other team in the Six Nations 11 times on the trot. And if I'm being honest, I don't see us winning game number 12 either. If I was to call it now, at the gap between us at the moment, I'm cannot see Scotland travelling to Dublin next year and overturning them. So
Well,
unless,
I don't know. Wales might beat that record eventually at some point.
yeah, well, at
No,
this point in time, it's
no, no.
uh, yeah, I mean, Italy obviously have that against England, right? But I mean, disregarded Italy because we're a better team than Italy. No disrespect. Um, yeah, but we have other talent in
So,
Scotland that could go, like Franco Smith. And I'm sorry to say to any Glasgow Warriors fans that are listening, will not be in charge of Glasgow next season. There's been
no.
big, there's been clubs in both France, England, and there's been hints at South Africa as well that would have Franco back if he was available.
See,
Um,
right. I remember now. I do remember now what I was saying to you on the phone.
and
So,
if he doesn't go to Scotland, where will not only will we be hunting for a new Scotland coach, we'll have to be hunting for a new Glasgow coach as well.
yeah,
Sorry,
correct.
what were you going to say?
So, kind of into that just because you mentioned Franco Smith and contracts and this. Scottish Rugby has done it very cleverly
Mm-hmm.
uh, because historically it is who's the most successful coach out of Edinburgh or Glasgow? Case in point, Gregor Townsend. That's he won the league, he became Scotland head coach. It made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Franco Smith has won the league with Glasgow. But the way they've done it is, I think Franco Smith, Gregor Townsend, and I will include them in this just for benefit's sake. Sean Everett's contract, they all run out about the same time in 2026. So it does seem to me that the SRUs went, right, Gregor's not going to renew.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to offer him a renewal because we have these two coaches here. I'm not saying Sean Everett's going to be Scotland head coach. I'm just using it for the.
Yeah, at the time when they signed him in the first place, it was their contingency options.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
At the end of Townsend's deal, when you boys are finished here as well, we're going to sit down and be like, well, do you want to remain at Edinburgh or Glasgow, or would you be interested in the Scotland job?
mm-hmm.
And then that's separate discussions. I think people are like pretty like 80% sure that Franco Smith will take over as Scotland head coach.
Yeah,
And how they're going to do it does depend on the next 4 weeks.
yeah,
So, right. So if we win against England, we beat Wales, we beat France. We finish second. Um, Gregor will just continue till that contract runs out.
yeah. There's Rody. Scotland with the next three games. Townsend goes right now.
No,
If
no. If he
yeah,
wins all 3 games, he stays.
now
If if we win against if we win 2 out of 3, doesn't matter what two.
okay.
We're established with beating Wales.
Yeah, we've
For
established
argument's
we've
sake.
beaten Wales. Well,
If,
I don't know. It depends on the two because if we lost to England but beat France, he got his one performance, but then we've lost ground to I don't know where we stand on that. But then again, if we beat England again and we beat Wales, but then we lose to France on Super Saturday,
so we'll do.
it's same old. Like what do I know? This is probably a more 50-50 option. Like personally, if
So
we beat England and Wales but lose to France, I would be on the he still has to go train, but I'm not sure the SRU would see it that way.
so the way I'm thinking, right, there is 3 scenarios here, so just bear with me. You go 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Townsend stays until the end until his contract just runs out. Nobody's getting paid out. Nobody's walking away. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
2026. That's him done and dusted. Franco Smith then steps in. If you win 2 out of 3, you can pick what 2 out of 3. This is just a scenario here. Gregor Townsend will stay until after the summer tour of the Pacific Nations. And then before the new season starts, Franco Smith. I am using Franco Smith as the key assessor here.
Yeah.
But we'll do a short list in a little bit. Franco Smith will be announced September time as the new Scotland head coach. That then gives him a couple of months to plan and blah 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 into the autumn and then into however long his deal is. Cool.
I just
Uh,
him.
and then there's the third option that if Scotland absolutely shit the bed, and let's just say we just beat Wales. We lose to England and we get battered in France, or battered in England and just lose to whatever. Lose both big games.
Okay.
Then gets sacked at the end of the Six Nations, and for the start of the summer tour, everything gets pushed forward, and Franco Smith will become Scotland head coach with, and this is a bit that I hate because I really want to see this. Pete Horn will be Glasgow Warriors head coach.
Hmm.
That's his, that's the three scenarios. I think that's the fairest way to do it as well.
For me personally, the way I would do it was mine slightly more black and white. You know, let's just say we lose to England by 5, we absolutely hammer Wales, and we get beat by 12 by France, right, on Super Saturday. We've not progressed any. Tooney's gone. Now, with David Nucifora being, the performance director, I said this to you on the phone that if we could, I'd like to see Franco Smith go on the Lions tour as an assistant coach to deal with players of that caliber, being that high performance environment, and then after that he comes back, he takes over Scotland. I think at that stage you get rid of Tooney, and while he's away, Horn takes over the summer tour as interim coach.
Okay.
Because there'll be no domestic rugby on at that point, and depending on what's going on with the clubs, you probably find that he'll have his choice of either Edinburgh or Glasgow full time, depending on however we don't know wherever it's going to be at the end of the season.
That's the worrying bit. Sorry.
But yeah, so he would do it that way. If Franco doesn't get on as assistant coach, one of the assistant coaches on the Lions tour, I would just straight away give Franco the Scotland job for the summer. Like the second that it's over, the domestic season's over, get him in charge of that Scotland squad. Franco's great at spot development and bring him through the next crop of players. I think if you give him that summer tour as a Franco Smith development tour, he will spot some gems straight away to
Go
bring
on, make that a t-shirt. That'll sell.
Franco's gems.
The Franco Smith Development Tour and just a map of the Pacific Islands. There you
Yeah.
go.
Like he'll do great. Like he does it at Glasgow all the time, finding players to bring through. So yeah, that's the way to do it. Look, it could come left field. Franco Smith might not want it. And I know his family lives in South Africa and that he might say, do you know what? I've been offered a deal with, the Stormers, or I've been offered, the Bulls head coach position. I want to go back home. We might not get him. It just for us, it makes sense. He was the Glasgow team. He took them to the Challenge Cup final. Yeah, we lost in the final, but they didn't have that sort of experience to be level-headed at the time. His second season, he takes them to win the URC, so he knows the players. He's got that winning mentality. So he makes sense as a natural successor. But look, we'll move on to who could be backup. So if it wasn't for Franco Smith,
Yes.
I said that my number 2 option would be Ronan O'Gara. I think,
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
yeah.
I think we agreed for the most part on our short list, to be fair.
Sorry?
I do think we agreed on like most of the short list. So I think there was 5, and we went like Franco Smith, Ron O'Gara, and then I'll let you fill in the rest.
Right. Well, we'll do a little bit on each. So Ronan O'Gara, he wants an international job. He's made no secret of that. He wants an international gig. Now, Ronan O'Gara played in an Ireland squad that wasn't nearly as good as the Ireland squad is now. He knows how to win, and he knows how to win with a smaller nation. And that's my big appeal with O'Gara. At La Rochelle, yeah, we all think La Rochelle's this great team, but compared to some of the other French teams, they don't have a massive budget
They've
compared.
also never won a top 14. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, he's sorry.
They've never won the French league. They've been European champions under
Yeah,
O'Gara
but
twice.
he's taken them to win the Champions Cup more than once, and he doesn't have one of the biggest budgets. I think what is it, the fifth or sixth
Something
biggest
like that,
budget
yeah.
maybe of the top 14, but it's not. It's really not up there. So he was my number 2 pick. I'll let you go with number 3.
Number 3 for me, would have been. I've been saying Clark Laidlaw for a while. I think I did a video on this like this time last year because, or no, sorry, before the World Cup because Townsend's deal was finishing at the World Cup. I
Okay.
said that. Right, okay, so I'm with it now. And I said Clark Laidlaw. For those that don't know, if you're hearing that surname, yes, he is from that Laidlaw family. He is Roy Laidlaw's son. It's Greg Laidlaw's cousin. He went over to Japan years ago,
Yeah.
started doing his craft, started picking up sevens coaching, went over to New Zealand, became the New Zealand sevens head coach, absolutely smashed the World Series, and won, I believe, the 2020 Olympics.
Okay.
He was part of that. He won. He was that head coach that got New Zealand the gold medal at the Olympics. He has now since went to the Hurricanes over in Super Rugby. Now, yes, they've not won, but his first like 8 or 9 games, they were undefeated, and he got them to the semi-final. So like, it's not like he's far off, and he's got been working with some quality players. So I feel like that might be an outside pick. There's also the likes of oh, do you want to do four?
Yeah, and this one wasn't on my original list. It just cropped head right now. Now, apologies if he's committed to doing something elsewhere, but my knowledge of what's going on in the southern hemisphere and who's managing what province in Super Rugby just really isn't there, right?
Okay.
Ex All Blacks coach Steve Hansen, is he out of a job at the moment?
No, he's in Japan, but still, holy shit, that'll do.
That'll do. That'll be one.
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't say that because I wasn't even on my radar. I was trying to think like realistically, and I know, and even Ronald Gar's a bit of a stretch.
You think?
I don't know because he says he wants to do it and he's keen to do the Australia job and this and that and
Steve Hansen is in Japan at the moment. What is he managing one of their clubs over there in Japan?
yeah, yeah, he's I can't remember the
Well,
name,
the Scotland gig's a bigger job then for the
but
Japanese club.
his assistant or one of his assistants
Hmm.
is Mike Blair.
Oh, one of his
There
sisters
you
in Mike.
go.
There's yeah, Blair be putting in the word already, calling out Steve Hansen next Scotland next Scotland manager.
By the way, absolute scenes if that happened.
Yeah.
You know who actually? Do you know who would be a pick? Because I was like 85% convinced it was happening before the World Cup,
Yeah.
and he's not been in a head coach role since. Leon McDonald. Leon McDonald was I think he was one of the Crusaders back staff
Hmm.
When Razor first took over, and
Yeah.
then he got given the Blues head coaching role, and then after he announced he was leaving because Brian Carter was coming in,
Yeah.
and there was this really weird press conference that he did, and I don't know if I was just trying to read between the lines or that because
Okay.
there was rumors that Scott Robertson was not going to be the All Blacks head coach. I got told this. I actually did a video on it, making it sound great. Complete load of shit. Like we all knew Scott Robertson was going to be the All Blacks head coach. Anyway, and then it was like, well, where does that lead? Who's his background staff? And Leon McDonald got asked, and he was like, oh well, and he kind of like stuttered over the questioning. He's like, oh well, you'll have to just see what happens. Like no, but there's a lot of plans in place, and I'm very excited. And I'm just like, are you coming to Scotland? Are you? Because that feels like such an SRU thing to do. It's like he's a good coach, but nobody would have thought of it.
So, yeah, I'd like to see what sort of pull David Nusafora would have at getting this sort of thing done. Because I imagine if he goes, he would be pulling some strings.
Bloody
Um,
Eddie Jones.
the only other person on my short list, and I think this is probably round up, would you take Michael Checker?
Um, I don't know. Michael Checker's a good coach, but recently his track record's kind of just went pear-shaped. Like
Hmm.
he was Leinster head coach for a while, he was the Wallabies head coach for a while.
Argentina.
He wasn't a long time though. I was just like, I'll fill the role the now.
Yeah.
Then he went to Tigers and he was going for a year, and I assumed he was going to Wales, but we are better than Wales. We're a better outfit than Wales.
Why is he leaving Tigers at the end of the season?
Family reasons. It does say he's going back to Australia, but that feels like he's going to be the Wallabies head coach again. I
Hmm.
feel like it's too perfectly aligned.
Yeah. That
Um,
that might be what the Schmidt told Australia he was going to stand down long before we heard about it. So they've probably already done
the Smith thing's been in the media for a while. Though, like
Mm.
his son is severely ill, and basically every decision that comes to coaching, Joe Schmidt bases it on, do I need to be there? No,
Uh-huh.
no, he's okay, right? But every time, even when contract talks come up, it's like, wait the now, let me check that it's okay. And for the most part, it has been, but I don't think it's going as good now. I'm
Mhm.
not, I'm not speculating. I have sent you the thing as well. It does say it in black and white.
Okay.
But Michael Cheika seems to be going home. There was a name that came up today on my comments, and I don't know how I feel because a few years ago, probably,
Okay.
but based off recent events, I don't know.
Right.
Stuart Lancaster.
Uh, the thing is, if it wasn't for how poorly he done at Racing,
That's what I'm
I'd be
saying.
more
Yeah.
open to it.
If it came straight from the Leinster job.
Yeah, I'd have been more open to it if it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
my Leinster job. I
So,
don't know how I would feel about. I'd say no. I'd feel like it might be a step back from Townsend. Obviously, you give him his year, and it's like your first whack, your first year as a head coach, you get a free whack at it. If you're not, Steve Hansen level experience like him, I'd expect to hit the ground running. But you
but yeah.
you get someone like Lancaster, it's like right, you give him a year to bed, and then after a year, see how they're doing.
Mm.
No. So, I mean, out of that list, I'd take Steve Hansen, Rona Rugara, or a Franco Smith. I'd be happy with those three. If I had to pick a three-man shortlist, that'd be
Uh,
it. I'd like.
well, I can't say Steve Hansen because I share shortlist and I'd be stealing it. I would say my three would be Franco, Ron O'Gara, or Leon McDonald.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Let's move on to something that we don't usually do on the pod. Before we look into next week, we chatted about the need for a third pro side today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm of the view of, and a lot of people, I can already hear our comments coming in there, but we can't afford it. I don't think Scottish Rugby can afford not to invest in a third pro team. I think that's
We can't
desperately trying to do with the Super Six.
we can't not afford to not do it, but we also can't afford to do it.
Yeah, we have to find a way, in my opinion, to afford it because, in my opinion, we have hit a glass ceiling. We've not hit it yet, but we've got come very close to hitting a glass ceiling of how far this Scottish squad can go with only two pro teams. You've got Glasgow, who have won the URC, right? So, in terms of being selfish, and trying to make the national team better, the only way that we can do that is if we funnel rather all of Edinburgh's best players over to Glasgow to make it like a Scottish Leinster. And I'm only saying that because Glasgow are the current champs. If it were the other way about,
Do you want to see me cry? Are you trying to hurt me?
all
I don't want to support Glasgow
right, okay, for the
regularly.
sake of this pod and to keep you happy, let's just say that we move Franco Smith and all of the best Glasgow players over to Edinburgh, right?
Better, thank you.
we move them all over to Edinburgh, and we turn Edinburgh into the Scottish equivalent of Leinster, and then we try to make Glasgow sort of competitive. We make it like a Munster, right? That's the only way that we can make it any better than it is now. And I don't think it'd improve it a huge amount. And it's the only reason being is the player pool isn't there. And the teams behind us are closing the gap. And like France, England, they've got their own league. So if you compare Scotland to England, I know we've had the better of them in recent years, but if you take a 10-year chunk or a 20-year chunk, just down to the sheer resources that they have, they will outperform us in most of that time. And the only way that we can even level that back is by having a deeper player pool. So we both agreed that take the finances out of it, but from a playing perspective, that Scotland should have a third pro team. We talked about where it should be based, and we decided on Aberdeen. So this
Just before you go in,
team we've called the Aberdeen Stags.
yes.
Yeah.
So just before you probably go into it all,
Yeah.
this is purely hypothetical. It is just a concept idea
Yeah.
that we literally chalked up on the phone about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and then we actually had graphics and done by 3. So we actually got really passionate about it, like real quick.
Yeah. I mean, both of us, if you look up Blissful Rugby or Rugby Realm on TikTok, I'm sure within the next couple of days we will both put videos up about this because we both got graphics made. So I made a little thing. First of all, is that why do we want to have a third pro team based in Scotland? I come up with 5 or 6 points, right? So the reason we've decided to base it in Aberdeen, first of all, is the demand for rugby is actually fairly high in the Highlands. But if you live in Aberdeen, Dundee, Inverness, or anywhere in the Highlands, traveling weekly to Glasgow or Edinburgh to watch your club rugby is just unfeasible for a lot of these people. So there is a market for it. Like people who live on the borders, it's not too far for them to travel up to Edinburgh for the game, right? So that's why we said we want to have an Aberdeen. I think it gives a professional environment to develop more players than we currently are. Where if you had, from the under 18s, under 20s, and it was just a thing, how we send 3 players a year abroad on a scholarship to like South Africa or New Zealand, some of these better players, we just funnel them straight through to this third side, which would be the Aberdeen Stags. And look, the idea of the Stags isn't to win the URC for anyone listening, right?
I mean, if they managed it with the team we rattled off, fair play to them.
Yeah, it's purely the way that Connacht was originally developed in Ireland. It's meant to be a development side. Realistically, they're going to be scrapping out with the Dragons and Zebre and teams like that. But it might provide, 3 or 4 players to the Scottish national setup and develop a lot more.
Yes, to give the young lads like stable game time, not 10 minutes here.
Yes.
No, you're starting for the Stags. You're one of the first names on the team sheet, sort of thing.
Yeah. So to have all that happen, and also it wouldn't only help out Scottish teams, it would help out Welsh sides as well. So obviously in the URC we couldn't just add an extra team to it and have an uneven number of teams because that means that someone has to miss out every single round. So it makes it a mess. The only way we saw it happening was you would have to remove a Welsh side from the URC. Now, the Welsh sides report they spend, I think it's 4.5 million per region, and that allows them to, let's just say, they do what they were going to do a couple of years ago. The Ospreys and the Scarlets merge, or they get rid of the Dragons. I don't really care which way around they do it, right? Let's just say, for the sake of this one, Scarlets and Ospreys, they merge. Both their teams become a little bit better. They base it out of Swansea. Dragons is their development side. Cardiff gets all the funding. That means all the players that were in whatever club went bust or not bust, that they liquefied, they can then spread their resources around the other 3 clubs. The £4.5 million a year they were spending on this club, they can start to claw back some of that money that they've got that massive black hole in. So, and it also means the teams that are left in Wales, they're going to be much more competitive than they were before because they're going to have a better playing roster. So, we went through a hypothetical match day 23 for this.
I mean, I did write off a full like 38-man squad. I really got into it.
I don't have that one in front. I could probably get that one up in front of me. Give me two
Well,
seconds.
I was gonna say I sent it to you on
Yeah,
WhatsApp. I'm sure.
that's I've got my other one open. So essentially, the idea of the Stags is we would have a lot of young lads, but we'd be mixed in with a lot of older lads that don't really get a game for Scotland anymore. So you'd have a lot of
Or
the ones or the cusp. So you'd have them mixed in with the likes of Hamish Watson and Chris Harris and
mhm,
people like that. So this is the squad that we had put out over the phone. So for the forwards, Jamie Batty, Robin
mhm.
Hislop, Mikey Jones, Ollie Blythe Lafferty, Murray McCallum, sorry, Angus Williams, Gregor Hiddleston, Dave Cherry, Seb Stevens, Yari Oguntebeju, Glenn Young, Charlie Moss, Grant Gilchrist, Bart Godsall, Thomas Gordon, Hamish Watson, Liam McConnell, Freddie Douglas, Ruben Logan, Tom Dodd, and Tom Curry. That is a fairly competitive. That's a very competitive forward pack, actually.
I mean, like you've got the experience there with like Batty, Cherry,
Mm-hmm.
Gilchrist, Watson, and then you've got like real top talent coming through. Like I've hyped up a lot of those under 20 boys. Ollie Blythe Lafferty,
Yeah,
big standout. He's still only 18, but he has massive future. Charlie Moss, he's over in France. Get him back over here. Freddie Douglas. Freddie Douglas is 19 and has an actual senior cap. He is the future. Liam McConnell was the under 20s captain when we won the World Trophy last year. Tom Curry has a bright future. I'm just naming some of them. Ruben Logan. We always love it when father and sons play for the country. He's Kenny Logan's boy, and he's a unit and he's a shithouse.
yeah. And we know for a fact that the more minutes these boys get at a professional setup, the better players that they will be.
100%.
As Glasgow and Edinburgh will try to give them game time, the more game time they get, if by starting each week with their pro team, they will be better players than they would be coming off the bench against Glasgow and Edinburgh. Because Glasgow and
Mhm,
Edinburgh still have to focus their seasons on winning trophies and bring the success to the clubs, so can't always afford to give these players minutes. And
uh,
the idea of it would be you'd have to strike a balance between some of the best players at the Stags eventually, if a young lad came through, did really well, you might transfer him over to Glasgow or over to Edinburgh, where
mhm,
you were going to a higher performance environment where they'd be used to winning. But then on the other side, if Glasgow or Edinburgh ever had any overflow, you could then transfer them to the Stags. It also
mhm,
means during international windows, we have more control over players. We get to rest them. We get to make sure they peak for international windows.
mhm.
Let's get into the backs. So the
Back
backs,
tasty.
yeah. So Ben Ashfar, now who I really, really rate, he gets decent game time at Glasgow, but he'd probably be the number one over at the Stags. Uh,
Yeah.
Hector Patterson, Ali Price, Duncan Weir, Andrew McLean, Matthew Irwin, Kerr Yule, Chris Harris. I'm going to butcher this one. Johnny,
Ventusai.
there we go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mark Bennett, Matt Scott, Fergus Watson, Harry Patterson, Jack Brown, Jordy Gwynn, Damien Hoyland, and Aaron Reid.
That's, that's decent, by the way.
Decent look. That's a squad that look. Let's be honest, they're not going to win the URC, but if you got every single one of those players, do you think you could compete for playoffs? Could you nab eighth place for that?
Technically, I mean, look at the back. Like we have done like a match day squad, and you said it there, but you've got some real talent there. Like Ben Afshar rubbing shoulders with Duncan Weir, who's already got that partnership from Glasgow. But then you could also speed up a bit and have Matthew Irwin from the under 20s.
Yep.
You've got the I say the older dogs, but are still more than capable. I mean, Matt Scott and Chris Harris is a midfield option.
Mhm.
Just saying, like if they're not playing internationals and you go, oh, that's our midfield. Oh, okay. That's fine. And then you've got Harry Patterson actually getting a clamp down 50. Because I like Harry Patterson.
Yep.
He's not going to be first choice fullback over Wes Houston or Emiliano Buffelli. It's just not happening.
I mean, he's not getting it. I mean, he is and he isn't. But even someone like Ben Healy, if he wanted to reinvent himself when he wasn't making it Edinburgh, go to the
No
start.
start. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I actually forgot to mention them. Cammy Scott would have been perfect for the Stags.
yeah.
There is so much talent out there that just aren't getting a proper spotlight. And just with this little fun concept, they'd get a huge spotlight every week.
And look, I don't want to hear, oh, we can't afford it or whatever.
We know
In
that.
we sort of know that. But in my opinion, we took with the sevens program already, and we've been given executives big bonuses to develop the Scottish national team and think long term. And if we want to better it from what it is now, I mean, you don't have to fund them to the same extent that you fund Edinburgh or Glasgow. You
No,
you could give them, half the budget of a Welsh region. I don't know, um, but we need a deeper player pool, and that's the only way that we're going to get it. It grows the sport in Scotland because we've only really got rugby in the Central Belt. If you've got one up in Aberdeen, around Balmoral or Aberdeen City Centre or something, that's it's a whole new market that Scottish rugby isn't really touching at the moment.
that and just for one for the like Brexit means Brexit people. You get like, oh, Scotland don't have any talent. I mean, I hammer at home every week that yes, we do, and this would prove my point. This
Yeah,
actually has, even in a hypothetical, it's proved my point.
yeah.
And I never named like any, apart from like Chris Harris. I don't think. I
Mhm.
think the only one that apart from Chris Harris, everyone there is Scottish.
Mhm.
Boom, mic drop, done. Ta- Talent everywhere.
Look, I don't think it'll happen in the immediate future. I hope that David Nusafora goes in because he's head of performance development, that he points us out and goes, right, there's Scotland needs a pathway for these players other than the Glasgow and Edinburgh. Like I'd like him to point, if he was able to make that happen, great, and we'll go from there. Um, I'll put stuff up online about it, but color wise, we've gone for Northern Lights colours. They play in like green and purple and that. We'll put up, we've got a logo made up for them. I made concept pieces for what the jerseys would look like and everything, but I'll post that up on the TikToks later. Um, Talking of club rugby, because it doesn't tell me a timer, but I assume we've been on this pod a while now. Um,
Yeah, about an
yeah,
hour.
let's have a quick look ahead to next week, and then we'll leave it there. So don't worry, I'm well aware that there is no Six Nations on next week, but there is URC on next week. And
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah,
not the flashiest of fixtures. Edinburgh host Zebri Parma, and Glasgow go away to the Dregs, go away to the Dragons.
the dregs.
Uh,
Oh, what a show weekend!
yeah, I mean, this is where you get to see players that
You
haven't really
scared?
got game time. You might see one or two that are on the verge of having a Scotland call up that Townsend may release just to get
Hmm.
some match fitness in them.
You get to see the Aberdeen Stags in full flow, basically.
The Aberdeen Stags in full flow. Aye. Do you know what that made me do? Give me, if you follow me online, you'll know I'm big into it. I want a Rainbow Cup back, a URC2, and the Stags. Give me all that. Make my dreams come true.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm sure if one of us won the Euro Millions, we'd just build the Aberdeen Stags ourselves.
Yeah, the Aberdeen Stags.
Great name. Such a good name.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It was almost the Granite City Gladiators at one point, but no, the Stags won it.
No, no, tell the truth. It was almost the Aberdeen. What was it? The big bloody bird that you said?
Albatross. The
Albatross.
albatrosses.
Big ass eagle, basically.
Yeah. A crossbreed between an eagle and a seagull.
Must be. Yeah, things are huge. Anyway, going off to sorry, that's a different topic for a different day. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Edinburgh versus Zebre. I mean, Edinburgh's got to win that, surely.
Oh, I can already hear Everett now. Zim-
Oh,
they're a very good team, and all our players are away with Scotland, so it was always going to be a big challenge.
what was it you came out with last week? If we keep our penalty count down to below 10, we win
Oh
games.
no! So
Yeah, well done.
there was something that came out of the Edinburgh Q&A, and Everett said at the Q&A he's discovered, in most games when we concede less than 10 penalties, we usually win. And it's like, really, really, you've just figured that out. Uh,
That's worrying. If he's just cotton to that, that's troubling.
Look, I heard this. That was the part I heard this of Rated Rugby on TikTok. He went there and he did a big long 16-minute video um about it. I was listening to it, and I'm just going off what he said. I wasn't there myself, but it was just
Even still, that's just common sense. Everyone knows that. You see what I mean? You see the stuff I have to deal with each week.
yeah, it's
Uh,
yeah,
Bullshit like that.
I'm so look, Edinburgh at home, they should win that. Like, even without it away, I'm looking at the squad. They're still going to have people like Ben Healy, Ross Thompson, Ben Vellacaw, Ali
The
Price,
belly's back.
but yet Buffelli's back. I think Ben Muncaster's meant to be back. Freddie Douglas could be available. So look, there's Edinburgh still have some ballers, right? Let's Bone Venter, Justine Few, Glenn Young. Edinburgh have ballers available, so they should win that, and they should win that fairly comfortably. I don't want to hear any excuses, right? Um, so let's just put that out there. I'm expecting Edinburgh to win by about 15, and they're home about 15 points, I'd say. Um,
Mm-hmm. I'd say
what
so.
I am usually more excited on would be Dragons playing Glasgow. Uh, I know when Glasgow played Connacht, they had like six hookers
Yeah.
all because everyone was injured. I think Glasgow should have a few more back by now. And if not, I'm sure with all the prep time, Franco Smith would have brought a couple up from the academy. So uh,
Mm.
it wouldn't surprise me if Franco Smith has had a wee look about and brought up one or two people. So I'd be more interested to see their lineup because he usually has a good eye for this type of thing.
Yeah. We'll see. As they're both very meh games. It's not. I mean, I'll probably be at the Edinburgh game, but this is nothing like get out your seat worthy, is it?
No, no. Knowingly, I wanted to go to this one, but I'm back to work as of tomorrow. Um,
You're gonna leave me high and dry on Valentine's
it's on
Day.
a Friday night, and I don't finish until 9 o'clock. So game will be reaching its conclusion by the time I get out of work.
Fair. It happens.
Unfortunately, but it is what it is.
It is. Yes. So back to club rugby this week, and then next week's gonna be a weird episode, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll find out more. I'm going to touch on this. This is the last thing, right? I'm not going to do a full preview or a preview at all of the Calcutta Cup, but I do want to ask you a couple of questions. If Finn Russell wasn't remembering plays, do you think he's going to be fit to play England? And if he's not, how confident would you be at starting Tom Jordan? I think Hastings is also meant to be back available for the England game as well. As far as I'm aware, both Hastings and Stain are going to be the only additions going back to the Scotland
Are
camp.
we just gonna like not talk about Fergus Park?
Would you give him his debut against England?
Hell yeah. Maybe not start, but I mean it wouldn't hurt. I would be very guess what he can do.
off, maybe off the bench. I give it to Fergus Burke.
Yeah, I'd give it off the well, I'd give him off the bench. But if Finn's hurt,
Do you start Hastings or do you start?
no, I'm not starting because right now and we don't know if they're back or that. So right now, as of recording, 2 weeks till this Calcutta,
Yeah.
If Finn's not okay,
Yeah.
Tom would start at 10. I would have Rory Hutchinson at 12, and you'd have Fergus Burke on the bench.
Okay. I love Darcy Graham. Do you put Aaron Reid in there or do you put Kyle Steyn in there?
I'm going to put Kyle Steyn in it because, again, he's not confirmed yet. I'll put
Well,
Kyle Rowe.
Kyle Steyn, well, he's all but confirmed because before the Six Nations kicked off, Townsend said he'd be back
Yeah, but
probably for the Ireland game, but if he wasn't back for the Ireland game, he'd definitely be back for the England game. So going from what he said, I'm pretty sure Steyn was meant to be fit for England. I'm going to be devil's advocate here, right? Just to not give you an easy out. So you're putting Doohan on one wing because he always has a worldie against England. Who'd you put on the other wing? Aaron Reid or Kyle Steyn?
Kyle Rowe.
Kyle Rowe. Okay.
He
Interesting.
is in the team. Let
Oh.
that mullet fly down at Twickenham. Be great.
Paints a little saltire on it, so it's like a little.
Yeah, like rubber flag in the breeze. Yeah, I'm gonna text him to do that. Be like, by the way, if you get picked for the England game, go and spray the mullet.
Spray the mullet Bobby saltire.
No, I'd start Kyle Rowe. I like Aaron Reid, and that would be very interesting. But again, we say it all the time that there's so many good options.
Yeah.
I was very interested to see.
Dewey's tried 2 years ago, so we need to have Jamie Ritchie going up to the breakdown. Finn Russell needs to get clattered. They'll put it back straight into the arms of Kyle Steyn and out to Doohan, and off he goes.
What if we reversed it this year? There you go. What if Doohan caught it and passed to Kyle Steyn, and Kyle Steyn went, "Here we go."
Oh, do you know what? I would fucking love it if you saw a break similar to Doohan's try, but it was Steyn doing it. I don't think the English would know what to do with it.
Actually, you know who has definitely got the wheels for it? Is Aaron Reid. Aaron Reid, bang, bang, gone.
Aye.
Superb. But anyway, we can talk about that all day. Yeah, back again next week for club rugby, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
And then big Calcutta Cup preview. Woohoo.
Ooh. So look, we'll be back next week. We'll do a little I don't know what day we're going to do it actually. We'll be back at some point next week because Edinburgh's on Friday and Glasgow's on Sunday, so probably Sunday evening. And we'll record it, get back to our usual schedule. All right, look, thank you so much for listening. We'll leave it there. If you want to follow us anymore, ask us any questions, you can get us on the Kilted Kickoff Instagram or TikTok pages. Murray's there on Blissful Rugby, and I'm there on Rugby Realm. Okay? Until next time, bye-bye.